Caroline Green. Today we're gonna talk about Pearl Harbor. So, it was Japan who actually started their first imperialistic action in 1936 and 1937. They went into eastern coastal cities in China and having the Nanking Massacre with over 250,000 people were killed by Japanese army. At the time, America was still trading oil with Japanese, but after this final straw, which was 1940, American cut off their supply of oil and really put them in position which they had to attack other countries in order to get the resources. So they went into French Indochina, which is now known as Vietnam. Based on France was invaded by Nazis, Japanese saw opportunities, so they cut off their resources. And meanwhile, Germany, Italy, and Japan signed a treaty named the Tripartite Pact that makes the three countries allies against England and France. The treaty is also seen as a warning to the United States, which basically saying stop helping England and France, because the United States had traded 50 old destroyers to England in exchange for naval and air bases in the Western Hemisphere. There were a lot of deep negotiations since then. Japan Prime Minister wanted to meet with FDP, but FDP refused. In November, Emperor Hirohito gave his permission for Japan military to start planning on the attack. And the last negotiation was basically Americans sent them a letter and said, get off China and stop imperializing. America will resupply their Japanese oil and everything will be good. But of course, as we can tell, Japan said no, thank you. Tojo, who was the leader, decides that Japan's only choice is to go to the war. So that's why they finally bombed America.
In 1940, the U.S. moved their navy to Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. A surprise attack was talked about by the U.S. and the Japanese for long before Pearl Harbor happened. Japanese soldiers even had an exam question since 1931 about how such an attack could be staged and how it would go down. In February 1932, Admiral Henry E. Yarnell staged a mock surprise attack at daybreak to warn people of what could even happen. Japanese read about the event, and a U.S. ambassador received info that the Japanese planned to attack Pearl Harbor if trouble occurred. However, the United States State Department decided that it was just a rumor and completely dismissed it. Spring of 1941, the U.S. had been helping Great Britain by loaning them supplies. By helping Great Britain, we severely diminished our own resources, and our Navy wasn't very strong and it wasn't equipped with the stuff that we would need in order to fight if an attack happened. The president didn't even want to go to war. In January 1941, the Japanese started planning the attack. December 7, 1941, they dropped a bomb on Pearl Harbor. The surprise attack was conceived by Japanese Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto with a striking force of 353 Japanese aircraft. The Americans paid a fearful price. 21 ships of the U.S. Pacific Fleet were sunk or damaged. Aircraft losses were 188 destroyed and 159 damaged, the majority hit before they even had a chance to take off. There were a total of 2,403 American casualties, including 68 civilians, most of them killed by improperly fueled anti-aircraft shells landing in Honolulu. There were 1,778 military and civilian wounded. It was devastating towards America. 4 days after, Germany and Italy declared war on the U.S., and soon after that, an almost unanimous vote had the U.S. going to join the war.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the USA after Pearl Harbor happened. So basically, after Pearl Harbor happened, America is moving quickly to get on a war footing in World War II. American attitudes about the war changed radically after the Pearl Harbor issue happened. So before the Pearl Harbor issue happened, America used to listen on the radio. They were not listening on what happened in Europe. They were listening on their local program. Sometimes they were thinking about the war happening in Europe, but they were not thinking about their involvement in the war in Europe. So, which means they do not really care about what was happening during World War II. they don't even care about the war in Pacific. So it seems like that's the farthest thing from their mind. But after Pearl Harbor issue happened, America declared war on Japan right after the attack happened. They came out from the isolationism, and the most important thing is that the Pearl Harbor issue happened united the whole country that had originally disagreed. So from the long-term perspective, the Pearl Harbor issue is not a bad thing to US. So now I'm going to talk about the rest of the war after Pearl Harbor impact. So before the Pearl Harbor issue, Germany and Japan planned to defeat US through Pearl Harbor issue because America was keep exporting supplies to those European countries. They want to defeat US through destroying their navy bases. But after the Pearl Harbor issue happened to Japan, the attack on Pearl Harbor was a completely disaster. The Pearl Harbor issue brought US into the World War II, and it's also one of the reasons that Japan unconditionally surrendered after. Japan thought they had already defeated US Navy after the attack, but actually most of the aircraft carriers were away from the base. On December the 8th, one day after the Pearl Harbor issue, almost 20 countries declared the war on Japan. And on December the 21st, Germany and Italy was declared the war on US. In conclusion, the Pearl Harbor issue is a turning point in the World War II. It united all the American people in their determination to go to the war with Japan. At some point, it's also one of the reasons which forced those Nazi countries unconditional surrender.
Hey, Abby, here's the letter for you.
Oh, why thank you, Frankie. Wonder what this could be. Oh, it's open letter time. It's from a survivor of Pearl Harbor to his sister. William Catsko, a sailor aboard the USS New Orleans during a Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on this day 1941. He survived the attack and went on to fight the Pacific Campaign against the Japanese and then returned home in 1946. Okay, here's the start of the letter. December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor, JH-USS New Orleans. Dear Sis, it is now 9:05 Sunday morning, and we've been bombed now for over an hour. Our anti-aircraft guns are yammering, and every so often a bomb strikes so close as to rock this ship. Again, a bomb. We're helpless down here in the forward engine room because our main engines are all torn down. We're trying to get underway if possible. We were just struck by a bomb near the boat. We're fighting back as much as possible because we have no power to load our guns, no power circuits to fire them. It's all being done by hand. This seems to you like a nonchalant letter, but it's straight dope. There is only a handful of us down here, as most of our men are ashore on liberty. They really caught us sleeping this time. For our ship in a new yard for overhaul, we're putting up a good fight. The first officer has come down here now to take charge. We've lit off all the boilers that are not out of commission and are trying to get underway so that we will not be altogether helpless, lying alongside the dock and be a stationary target. The bombs are getting closer. God grant they do not hit that loaded oil tanker that is lying right across from us. 10 million gallons of fuel oil will bathe this ship in an inferno of fire. There are destroyers lying near us and 3 other cruisers. They must be the targets, including us. I am on the interior communications telephone, and I can hear various stations screaming orders at one another. A man just brought us gas masks. We have 4 engines, but we can at the best only use 2. We're getting steam up, though. The firing of the guns have abated somewhat, but we've received orders to get underway as quickly as steam can be raised. The firing has continued. Wave after wave of bombers must be coming. We figured that some aircraft carriers must be the source of these fast dive bombing planes. We've been stuck several times now, but fortunately there are no casualties as of yet. It seems funny to be writing this when it may be your last. I never figured it to be like this. The next bomb may be our last, but I'll keep writing until I am told to stop or given another job. Some battleships that are tied up to the piers near Fleet Air Base are reported to be afire. It seems that the air base was their first objective, and the battleships were just too close to the field. We were really cut short this time. There is another lull and only sporadic bursts from our pom-poms. Preparations to get underway are still continuing. It seems impossible that with all the machinery tore up, but still, we'll do what we can. The order has come now. Oh, that seems to be the end of the letter. I hope he's okay.